Braum is easily one of my favorite characters in 2xKO, but I very rarely see him in tournaments or ranked, and there don't seem to be very many high quality resources for him. You know what they say, be the change you want to see in the world. So, here's my guide for Braum in 2xKO. At the time of this video, most competitive players put Braum somewhere around worst character in the game tier. But I actually think he's pretty good. Maybe not high tier, but still pretty good. Most importantly, he's a blast to play and can synergize well with a lot of the cast. If you want to improve your Braum or learn how to fight against him, this video is for you. Hi, Editor Rath here. I've improved with Braum a lot since I finalized the initial audio for this video. I stand by all my information from this first script, but I've also added some newer additions that didn't quite make it in initially. I'll mark these additions with this sound effect.
Aha! Oops!
Alright, let's carry on. First, let's start with an overview of his strengths and his weaknesses. First, the good stuff. He has very high damage. He has large normals. He has very large light attacks, so even when his mediums are too slow to challenge on defense, he can often use his lights instead. So in some situations, he can challenge more effectively with his lights than other characters can with their mediums. After getting Unbreakable, Braum has armor on nearly every attack that uses his shield. What's Unbreakable? We'll cover that soon. For now, just know that Blue Braum is a better Braum. Braum has access to his unlimited armored back S2, which allows unique counterplay to many situations in the game. He has solid and simple mix-up tools, and when he's in Unbreakable, he has high reward from those mix-ups, especially when compared to other characters. He has above average corner carry on his combos, huge reward when calling out rolls, so long as he's in Unbreakable, which he usually is after knocking down the opponent. He has massive lows, his crouching medium and his 3H, to call out retreating guard with. He has unique tools to enable mix-ups for your second character whenever you tag into them. He also helps your other character's damage with his juicy tag launcher extensions that always work no matter how long your combo was. And he also has 2 solid assists that also get buffed when in Unbreakable state. But what are his cons? First, he's slow, as in he literally runs and backdashes slower than most characters in the game, making it hard to escape faster characters in neutral or chase them down if they try to play lame and run away. His attacks are also slower, which can be a problem on defense at times. He has high recovery on his mediums and heavies, so he's more likely to get whiff punished if he misses those in neutral. And this is not strictly a con, but he has an awkward anti-air. Depending on the situation, it can be a blessing or a curse, but paired with his slower movement speed, his crouching heavy not going very far forward can make chasing down retreating characters a challenge at times.
Aha! Oops!
Braum is also unable to convert air-to-air hits into full combos on his own. This is an especially bad problem to have when his grounded anti-airs are unable to deal with characters that can stall and float in the air consistently. Before we begin talking about neutral, offense, or anything else, there are 2 parts of Braum's kit that are so important I need to start talking about them early in the video. First is Unbreakable State, Braum's first unique mechanic. You'll know he's in Unbreakable State because his shield changes to a bright blue. Unbreakable State buffs nearly every tool Braum has in meaningful ways, increases his damage output, allows his mix-ups to convert for huge reward, and overall just makes him an extremely scary character. We'll cover exactly what it changes throughout the video. For now, I just want you to know how he gets Unbreakable State and how he gets out of it. Braum accesses Unbreakable State by doing any of the following: landing his down S1 command grab in normal mode, comboing into his S2 follow-up attack, usually at the end of combos, making contact with his down S2 attack, or hitting the opponent with his S2 super. This is common at the end of long combos. You can even start with another character, tag launch into Braum, tack on a large chunk of extra guaranteed damage, and then use this super. Braum exits Unbreakable State in 2 main ways. One way is by consuming the Unbreakable State himself. Usually this is to buff a special move, such as using his command grab once again while he's in Unbreakable State, and this time it'll freeze the opponent, consume Unbreakable, and allow for a high damage combo. The other way to lose Unbreakable is by getting knocked down by the opponent. Notice that I said knocked down and not hit. This means that even if he gets hit, you can oftentimes spend your break before the combo is over to prevent Braum from getting knocked down and saving his Unbreakable State. It's worth noting here that even if Braum is not your point character, if the assist version of Braum gets knocked down, he will lose his unbreakable state as well. The second important part of Braum is his back S2 shield. His back S2 is his most impactful unique tool. It has unlimited armor and can be held for a while. It doesn't have any follow-ups, but if you pair it with assists, it can be extremely powerful. We'll talk about this a lot throughout the video. In general, Braum will protect himself and his assist character, then the assist character can get the party started from behind the shield. Okay, let's talk about Braum's neutral tools. His buttons are large and definitely useful, but before we get into those, let's talk more about his back S2. If there's anything in neutral you don't know how to deal with, his back S2 shield is worth trying in that situation. Is there an obvious neutral skipping air attack that you're struggling to anti-air? Shield up, brother, and punish with your assist. You'll need to learn how to convert from your assists in order to make this useful, but typically you can either extend with Braum's big normals, or you can combo by simply tagging after your assist hits. But be careful not to lean on this too much. The other player can throw you if they get close enough, or they can just wait it out and let you waste your assists. Some characters have moves hard-coded to beat armor that you'll need to be wary of. Even Blitzcrank's assist will beat it. All of this to say, the shield won't solve all your problems, but it can help slow things down and make the other player hesitant to swing at you non-stop, which will make the rest of his tools better. Okay, let's talk about Braum's other neutral tools. The theme here is commitment. Nearly everything Braum has a neutral will be easy to whiff punish if you are not careful. Back S2 is low commitment for when you want to stop the opponent from bullying you, but actually taking the fight to your opponent feels like it's going all in by comparison. His mediums are large, but they have lots of recovery, so use them with care or else risk getting whiff punished. His heavies are even larger, but with even more recovery, so the previous point goes double. His anti-air down heavy is kind of good and kind of bad. The good is that it does a good job of hitting opponents that jump and land behind him. The bad is that it's awkward, it's slow, and it doesn't go very far forward or very high. So if you're chasing a retreating opponent, you might want to use something else. But does he have any neutral skip options? Well, Braum technically has projectiles. He can toss poros with his forward S1. Holding the button will toss them even further and increase the hit stun. This is particularly useful after using break to escape a combo, and then tagging and chasing behind the poro with your second character. I just wouldn't count on these in neutral though, since the angle isn't always what you want, and it does have a lot of startup. His charged S2 goes far, absorbs some blows and projectiles, and can be converted into pressure or a combo if it makes contact. Assuming your assist lets you do that.
Aha! Oops!
Something I forgot to mention is that you should not be treating this move as your primary way of approaching in neutral, since it can be easy to parry. As with most tools with obvious upsides, there are usually obvious drawbacks as well. His regular S2 doesn't go that far, but it will beat projectiles while hitting fairly high. Making use of these specials to beat annoying projectiles is almost a requirement to play Braum. Braum's jump S1 goes extremely far, can be useful to bait out some anti-airs or reach faraway moves that you want to whiff punish. Just be careful not to use it unless you have an assist to make yourself safe or to convert with, or you can have a bar meter to super with. Speaking of supers, his S1 super is massive and can be traveled behind, especially if you are running double down and can tag into your assist character. It's giving, Mom, can we have Jinx shoot him if you got him? No, we have shoot him if you got him at home. I wouldn't lean on this much at higher level play though, since if the opponent times a parry correctly, the whole thing goes away. Everything so far sounds pretty tame, right? He's a slow moving, big target with lots of recovery on most of his tools. True, but all of these tools get better when he's in Unbreakable. For starters, his normals all gain a hit of armor and will now straight up beat out many of your opponent's tools, even if you're a step late. This means that you can swing with more confidence, and even treat your largest attacks as if they are anti-airs. His forward heavy in particular hits far and high, which can now be used to help chase down opponents who keep jumping away, or keep them pinned down in the corner. Even his anti-air gets some armor, which means opponents can't as easily use an assist to make their jump-in safe. The armor eats the assist, and then the anti-airs the opponent. Neat. Some of his specials receive buffs too. Notably, his charged S2 now wall bounces on hit, so you no longer need an assist to consistently convert into real damage. This is easily one of the highest damage combo starters in the entire game. Speaking of damage, every hit becomes more meaningful in Unbreakable state. Being able to cash out the Unbreakable with his new down S2 for off-the-ground conversions, or his new S1 Ice Ball will make every hit hurt more than before. Unbreakable even gives him guaranteed lazy full-screen corner carry with his S2 follow-up, although usually there are better combos than doing this. Oh yeah, he has a Fireball, Ice Ball in Unbreakable. It's kind of slow and consumes the full Unbreakable state to use, but it's large, goes through a lot of stuff, and easily confirms into full combos. Whether it's worth losing Unbreakable to just toss out one of these is up to you and the situation that you're in. Okay, enough of that, let's talk about Braum's defense. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, he can struggle here. His fastest buttons are 8 frames. Although that can be fast for the range that they can reach, it's still slow in a point-blank situation. He's also a big body, which means it can be hard for him to maneuver around or under things that other characters could do easily. Being a big target is usually bad for defense. Even though he's slow, he does have some unique tools on defense. That's right, we're going to talk about his back S2 shield again. It's surprisingly useful on defense, it activates faster than any of his buttons can give you an option in situations where you can't challenge in time with an actual attack, like after a throw break situation. Just like in neutral, don't rely on this too much, and don't use it without a plan. Even though it activates fast, it's not instant, and it still loses to throws. There's an aspect of his back S2 shield that I haven't mentioned yet that makes it even more useful. When using it to defend against attacks, the amount of actual block stun, if it's even fair to call it that, maybe shield stun? Anyway, the amount of block stun he gets put in while using the shield is not the same as if he blocked normally. This means that if you call out or possibly react to many of the slow plus unblock tools in this game with his shield, you can change the frame data on them and possibly punish them for much higher reward than if you parried. All without needing any meter. You'll need to lab the specific situations you want to use this in, as it doesn't solve all of your problems, and it won't be effective if your opponent was planning to use an assist to make something plus. But this is undoubtedly strong and fun to lab in training mode.
Aha! Oops!
Something more I want to add is that you'll need to be aware of which attacks are hard-coded to beat the shield. A common example is most fully charged standing heavy attacks. So in those situations, you'll need to use parry instead. Braum's S2 super is actually a reasonable reversal as well. It's not invincible, but it does have a single hit of armor that might be able to help you fight your way out on defense. I wouldn't overly rely on this, but it is a tool worth using once in a while. In general, Braum needs to use the system mechanics to his advantage and actually learn how to defend against each character specifically. The good news, if you do win on defense, he gets great reward for doing so. His corner carry and damage is solid, and will consistently end up in a great offensive situation afterwards. It is extremely rare that he can't KO an opponent in 2 touches or less, assuming that you have labbed routes with your specific team. This leads us to offense, where Braum really shines. We need to start talking about the layer 1 of his offense, his down S1 command grab. It's unreactable and reaches surprisingly far. It cannot be tacked like a normal throw. Normally, this command grab will grant Braum Unbreakable state, and can be extended with his S1 super for some extra damage and corner carry. In Unbreakable state, Braum's command grab will consume Unbreakable and then allow him to combo afterwards. Depending on your team and how much meter he has, he can touch of death most of the cast just from this starting. Braum's command grab is so simple and so effective that the threat of it will force your opponent to challenge you or try to escape. Even just using Braum's assist and quickly tagging into him will put your opponent in a position where they feel that they have to guess or risk getting grabbed. This leads us to Braum's pressure. He has easy frame traps to catch opponents trying to jump away or mash, and great far-reaching lows that can catch retreating guard or someone holding up back to try to jump away. His overhead is slow but effective. It hits surprisingly high, so it can keep people who try to jump away locked down. It's not his go-to mix-up, but it does have its place. In Unbreakable, Convert his overhead with his down S2 special for massive damage. On block, it keeps him plus. Note that Braum's down S2 consumes Unbreakable State, but it is usually worth it if it allows a conversion that he wouldn't get otherwise. We'll talk more about this special attack later since it's more useful than some people expect. An underappreciated aspect of Braum's offense is how well he utilizes tag mechanics overall, and how much he enables other characters on offense. Many of his moves are slow, with high block stun or with follow-up actions. This doesn't sound impressive, but can be a huge help for a secondary character who can use that extra block stun to set up mix-ups. His forward heavy can be repeated once on block. You see this all the time in his combos, but this can also be useful in tag situations. Call your assist, use his forward heavy, tag, and then hit forward heavy again. The second heavy still happens, even though he's no longer the point character. This second heavy can be useful to convert hits for your other character, enable cross-up mix-ups, or even cover throw attempts if the opponent jumps away. His neutral heavy can be used in a similar way, but is smaller, and the ground bounce it provides will count as one of Braum's 2 ground bounces or wall bounces, so keep that in mind if you extend your combo back into Braum. Uncharged Poro tosses can be useful for tag mix-ups as well. They stay out even if you get hit, so they can effectively cover your second character. Even his sliding low, his down forward heavy, can be useful when tagging, since it is very active and is 2 hits. Personally, I'm a big fan of Braum's basic down S2. It's very slow, but it has massive amounts of block stun, and grants him an unbreakable state on hit or block. Since it's so delayed, it gives your other character enough time to land a mix-up before it connects. And if you can combo from that hit, remember that Braum has Unbreakable, so you can tag launcher back into Braum, and then he'll get even more guaranteed damage at the end of your combo. Just be careful with your tag mix-ups. Regardless of which 2 characters you're playing, if you don't throw in an occasional low or a throw, then your opponent will be able to parry your tagged out character, and your new point character will get caught up in the parry. So either make your mix-ups gapless, or incorporate options that don't lose to standing parry. Now that we've talked about most of Braum's tools, I want to talk about Unbreakable once again, and give some additional context for when and how it can make a massive impact. You know Unbreakable can grant him a full combo from his command grab, but did you know it also does it for his normal grab? What about his air grab? You know Unbreakable can grant him a full combo from his overhead, but did you also know it does this for other characters' overheads as well? Just tag into Braum and let his down S2 rip for huge reward. Anytime your other character is on offense and you want a simple, effective mix-up, just tag into Unbreakable Braum and go for a rewarding frame trap low, overhead, or command grab. What's great about this is that usually you will regen your assist from these mix-ups, and can use them to extend your combo. Well paired up teams, especially with double down, can KO characters in a single mix-up this way. We haven't talked about his assists yet. His forward assist is a fairly standard strike assist, and just like his S2, it does beat projectiles, which can lead to some pretty funny situations. It's extremely easy to convert from, and gets even easier in Unbreakable, since it will wall bounce the opponent. Note that this does use one of Braum's 2 wall bounces or ground bounces that he's allowed in a combo, so if you tag back into Braum, your normal combos might cause a limit strike and end your combo earlier than you expect. Braum's back assist is his shield. It can be useful to save your point character when you make a mistake, but unfortunately it does not have unlimited armor like it does when Braum is the point character. In Unbreakable, it gains 1 extra hit of armor, so it does feel a little safer to use. At least, that's what the in-game description of the assist tells us. 1 hit of armor normally, and 2 hits of armor in Unbreakable. But in practice, sometimes Braum can guard several hits, so long as they are tightly packed together. This makes it a viable assist to counter some approaches where your opponent might utilize an assist to bully their way in. After landing a hit, or making them block, Braum is still hanging around for you to tag into and continue your offense. We've already talked about his 1-bar supers, but I want to make a note that which super you should use when you end your combo depends on where you are on the screen and whether or not you are in Unbreakable state. Mid-screen, his S1 super does do more damage and gives solid corner carry. However, in the corner, only 1 or 2 hits will make contact, and Braum will be left in a bad situation. If you have your choice of using either super to KO, you should choose whichever one lets you keep Unbreakable state. His S1 super does not consume Unbreakable, but his S2 super does consume it, with the trade-off of getting a little bit of extra damage. Let's talk about synergy with Braum and other characters. What assist does Braum like? To maximize his back S2 shield, I believe Braum wants at least one plain strike assist, especially if he or your other character can convert from that assist. Since Braum can sometimes struggle with anti-airing certain characters himself, assists that work well as an anti-air, especially when they're paired with a big shield, can be appreciated. Sometimes these type of assists can be awkward to convert for a full combo, but Braum's Air S1 brings them back down to earth. So you can tag to your assist character for a full combo near the ground. But which characters like Braum? I'll be honest here, I don't yet feel confident enough in my knowledge of the full cast to be able to say for certain just yet. He provides extra damage with his fantastic tag launcher extension, easy access to mix-ups if you tag into him. He can convert many mix-ups for your other character with his Unbreakable state down S2, and can enable strong mix-ups for other characters if he tags them in mid-block string. If a character you like can work with those benefits, then I say give him a shot. Okay, there are a few things I skipped over because I didn't feel that they were as important for the main topics discussed so far: neutral, offense, and defense. But I want to make a note of them now. Braum's command grab locks the opponent out of being able to break out of your combo until after his next attack. So by going directly into supers afterwards, you can keep the combo burst safe. The damage won't compare to a proper command grab combo, but it's great for closing out rounds when the opponent has break available. Braum's 3-bar super is fairly standard and works as an invincible reversal. It does a lot of damage, so if it can KO, it's a good way to cash out your resources. Braum's normal S1 wall bounces and allows for good extensions, but since it's mostly combo filler, I didn't care to mention it until now.
Aha! Oops!
Braum's standard S1 is also a little bit disjointed and a little bit plus on block, but because of the distance it pushes him back, I don't find this to be too useful very often. Good to know nonetheless. Whenever you get a weird hit and don't know how to convert, whenever in doubt, just do medium, heavy, heavy S2. There's no shame in doing a shorter combo, it still does good damage. Note that his standing heavy follow-up uses a ground bounce. If you ever plan to tag into another character mid-combo and then tag launcher back into Braum for a chunk of guaranteed damage, try to remember if you have used any wall bounces or ground bounces with Braum already. If you've used any, then his tag launcher combo will need to be cut short.
Aha! Oops!
Here's some more tidbits from the future that I didn't think about or know about in time for the original script. Braum's tag extensions oftentimes push combos into the break bonus. Long combos into XKO grant the opponent a lot of break meter, like a lot of break meter. Just be mindful about whether the opponent will get their break back as a result of the combo you're doing. Sometimes it's best to hold off on maxing out your damage unless you're confident it can knock out a character. Braum's tag launcher is surprisingly the only move he has that hits reasonably high directly above his head, and it can help convert in some awkward situations, but only if your second character is still alive. His forward strike assist is better than I initially gave it credit for. You can use it similarly to Echo's My Time, except it hits higher, is easier to convert, and crushes projectiles. So a lot of what you're seeing at the high level meta right now with Echo, I feel like can work reasonably well with Braum as well. Something I neglected to mention about his jump S1, it moves him far forward, but only if he doesn't have backwards momentum. If he's moving backwards, like after jumping backwards, or after recovering from a combo in the air while holding backwards, he keeps his current momentum instead of going forward, and he falls even faster. Since this hits both sides and can be done extremely low to the ground, it's sometimes useful so long as you have an assist or meter to convert into pressure or a combo. His S1 super being plus on block outside of the corner and hitting a huge area makes it a good tool for happy birthday situations, or even just any time you're comboing their assist. If you manage to stay in when the opponent push blocks, you can cash out with the super for some decent guaranteed damage on their assist and still technically be plus. While KO'd, Braum's super assist is the same thing, so it can be useful for this as well. On the note of his S1 super being plus, this is pretty unique for this game. This makes them a good partner for characters that have reversals that can be cancelled into supers on hit or block. At the time of this video, Braum Darius is considered to be a pretty solid team. Darius can use his reversal, super to apply bleed, and then super with Braum to keep it safe or convert the hit into extra damage. This oftentimes happens as a happy birthday, and does around half of both characters' health bars. Being a big target isn't strictly a bad thing. It usually is, don't get me wrong, but I'm learning to appreciate the usefulness of Braum's size, especially when it comes to being able to intentionally interact with projectiles. A larger character has a larger parry, which makes for an easier time reacting to projectiles in neutral, especially if they might have gone over other characters' heads. When it comes to projectiles that have to arc up and down, you have less need to account for travel time, and you can parry the projectile sooner, allowing for more advantage. I hope I was able to help anyone interested in Braum understand him better, or help anyone struggling to fight against him. Is Braum as bad as people make him out to be? Is Braum a secret high-tier character? He's likely somewhere in the middle. I'll have more 2xKO guides in the future. If you'd like to stay up to date with anything I create, subscribe and hit that bell icon. Thank you for watching.